Hello everyone, it's Maha. I hope you're all doing really well. So last week I did a reading for myself, which I felt like sharing with you all in a way to connect and to kind of talk about what's been on my mind lately, what's been going on, and to share this spread that I created based on a dream that I had last week. So as I said in my previous video, I recently moved into a new place, which I love. But I guess, as always, with big changes, there can be a lot of stress. And this was a big change for me because this is the first time in a long time since I injured my back and my knee that I am living completely on my own, as opposed to living in a shared space with others. So it was kind of a big move for me. And it brought a lot of anxiety. And for me, when I have a lot of stress and a lot of things happening, my anxiety gets kind of focused and centered around my physical body, because I am dealing with some health issues that I have been dealing for some time with. And it's almost as if the anxiety creates tension around what's already challenging me. So when I had this dream last week, I dreamt that, I don't remember, unfortunately, the spread, but I remember that I created a spread about health anxiety to help me through health anxiety. So I thought I would actually create a spread and use tarot as a way to guide me through my health anxiety. And so I created some questions, which I'm going to post in the description bar down below in case anybody wants to try the spread for themselves, if you feel like doing so. And I wanted to share my reading and to also share this really beautiful deck that I have been using. I was guided to grab my Feng Shui tarot after I had that dream, because I guess in the spirit of moving into a new place, trying to decorate my place, and balancing the energies in my space, as I always like to do. And I kind of do that intuitively. I don't know much about Feng Shui, although I'm reading about it, and I have kind of here and there been reading over the years about it. But I'm not, when I decorate my place, it's mostly how I feel intuitively, that I feel like things should be placed in certain places. But in the spirit of moving into a new environment and harmonizing my environment, and also, as a way of my balancing my mind and body, this connection, I thought this was a perfect deck to use. And so I thought this is also an opportunity to share this deck with you. It reads beautifully, although I must say that I was really intimidated for a while. I've had this deck for a long time. I was intimidated to use it because of all the symbolism in here, and I thought that I might not really, like, that I might want to know more about the images and the stories that they're telling. This deck comes with a little white book, which is not bad. It's not detailed at all, but it's pretty good. But it does also come with a companion book that's sold separately, which is out of print, unfortunately. And for the longest time, I wanted to purchase it, but it was kind of expensive. But now my wonderful, lovely boyfriend has actually purchased it for me, so I'm gonna have it in my hands soon, and I can't wait because I've heard such great reviews about this book. The deck itself is not out of print, but the book is, and I will talk about it once I get it. So I'm just gonna quickly share the deck with you before we do the reading. So they are, okay, so the suits, the 4 suits are the suit of Green Dragon, which is element of earth, the White Tiger, which is element of air, and Black Tortoise, which is the wands, the suit of wands, and then Red Phoenix, which is the element of water. And this new place that I'm at, it's got very good lighting, which is good for living here, but it's kind of hard for showing cards that are really glossy. If you look up this deck and if you go and check out the images, they're really colorful, bold colors, and really even detailed. And personally, I love Chinese and Asian art, especially those watercolor ink drawings, those miniature drawings. I love those. It's one of my favorite types of art. And I also love their ceramics. And I'm just also really fascinated by ancient Chinese wisdom, spirituality, philosophy. So the Taoism, all of that is sort of my very inspiring to me. So I'm really enjoying this deck. It reads wonderfully. It really does. It's actually not, like I thought before, it's not intimidating. And you don't have to have that companion to read with it. So let me show you some of my favorite cards here. I love this Death card, Transition. Oh, the lighting. He's standing behind a screen. So wonderful. And I love that red sun that appears in many of the images. This is the Moon card. Gorgeous. I love that. There's a man on a boat with a light that kind of reflects the same light as the moon. And this is a wonderful Strength card. The major arcana of this deck is so beautiful. I love that, the whole idea of inner strength. He's doing Tai Chi. And there's this wall, this cement wall with a shade of a tree. The Tower card is gorgeous. That kind of watercolor blended, blurry ink. So wonderful. Yeah, the Hierophant's quite lovely. So I just wanted to just kind of show you a few cards. This is the Black Tortoise 5. There is a stormy weather here. Black Tortoise 4. I love birch trees and bamboos, and that's full of them in this deck. So it's really worth checking it out. So I want to share my spread with you. So like I said, I just sat down after I had that dream, and I just kind of brainstormed some things that have been kind of bothering me. And when it comes down to it, whenever there is anxiety, it's like feeling that my mind is overwhelmed. And when I was creating these questions, instead of focusing the questions on my physical body and what my body needs, I focused it on my mind, because when I get health anxiety, there's this feeling that my mind, it just wants to control everything. It's just really, really afraid of things going wrong. So I focused the 3 questions, it's 3 questions, on my mind and how my mind is sort of communicating with my body. And I did this reading a little differently this time. I've been influenced by my boyfriend and his reading style. It's very intuitive, and he uses the cards kind of like to get a picture. So he'll ask one question, and then he'll draw as many cards as he intuitively feels guided to do so. And I love that, because what I used to do, I guess the problem I've always had with spreads is that I would ask the question and then there would be 1 card for each question, and I found that that was a little too limited. So this time what I decided to do is kind of inspired by his style of reading. Ask 1 question, and then I drew 3 cards for each question. So there's 3 questions and 3 cards. And that way I felt like I can kind of get a snapshot of what the guidance is for me. So I think there was a video going around about, actually I think it was Tarot Alchemist that did this video about how her reading has changed. And I would say my reading has now sort of changed as well, where I ask the question and then I'll draw several cards or a few cards instead of just one card, and then I'll sort of see what the picture tells me. And for me, because I'm very visual, that kind of helps me to put these symbols together. So that's why I wanted to share this reading with you, just to kind of also share how I'm reading now these days. So the first question I asked was, how can I allow my mind to help me discern real danger from false alarms? And this is because I noticed that whenever there is a lot of anxiety around my health or my body issues, it's like if there's one little thing, I kind of exaggerate it. And at that moment, when I'm sensing a lot of anxiety, I don't really know if something bad has really happened or if I'm thinking that something bad has happened. I don't know if that makes sense to any of you out there, but it's sort of like hypervigilance. It's like looking for something wrong. Like what went wrong? So when the brain is sort of like in this state of anxiety, and for me, because it's focused on my health and my body, then I keep looking like, what just happened? Did something happen? Did something big happen? Is it bigger than I think it is? So at that moment, it becomes really hard to discern. So that's why I wanted to form this question, that maybe Tarot would guide me about how can I know, how can I allow my mind to help me discern real danger from false alarms. So then I drew these cards, the Fool, Red Phoenix 7, and Black Tortoise 2. So the first one I kind of was drawn to was the Red Phoenix 7, and I drew this one twice. The first time I asked the question, I kind of wasn't really feeling like if I was sure about how many cards to pick, so I just picked one, and that's the first one I picked. And then later, I decided I'm going to pick 3 cards, so I reshuffled, and then I got this card second, which is interesting. And I really felt that this is me, this Red Phoenix is me, and it's hiding behind this bush. And actually, the leaves of this bush really remind me of this one plant that I have now in my apartment. The first plant I got, very similar looking to this one. But anyway, it's standing behind this bush and it's looking out to like these very sharp concrete, this mountain, this rocky mountain. And I was thinking that when I'm behind this bush, my vision is sort of blurred. I can't really see clearly behind all these little leaves. So it's like my mind is sort of trapped in this illusion at that time, being in this scene, in this picture here. And then the Black Tortoise 2, this is the 2 of Wands. And with this, I think that things are going forward, but I need to be more persistent. So here I need to see clearly, I need to bring my eyes into focus to see beyond the illusion that my mind is trying to put me into. And then in this case, and this one tells me that I need to be persistent with this. And I like what the guidebook says about the Fool. It talks about how with the Fool we have a choice. It's like beginning of something, like choosing something. And I thought that was interesting because it kind of tied everything well together for me. It was telling me that once I make the choice to stick to this path and being persistent with it, to help my mind to see through illusions, because at the time when I'm sensing a lot of anxiety, it's like I'm behind this bush. I can't really see the situation clearly. So knowing that, just acknowledging that I'm not seeing things clearly right now, and then being persistent, because I have to keep going on this journey of trying to see my thoughts clearly, you know, acknowledging them, because it's not like if I just do it once, it's over. It's sort of like a journey, and then I see this road here leading to these banana trees, sort of like it's the beginning. It's the beginning of the road. And the Fool card, to me, it's something I would say similar to the Zen Buddhist idea of the no mind. The Fool card is, it corresponds astrologically to Uranus, and Uranus is the planet of the mind. It's the higher octave of Mercury, and it's an air planet. And that feeling of the no mind, which in Buddhism refers to that kind of spaciousness, where just breath, this open space, the beginning and an end, and it keeps going. So it's like being persistent with this whole process, because it's a process to see, to acknowledge that I am kind of stuck in this illusion right now, and my mind just needs to be more patient and more persistent, and to just go back to my breath. So that's kind of how I build the picture with 3 cards with this one question. And then the second question is, what behaviors or patterns am I holding on to which no longer serve me? And for that, I drew Red Phoenix 6, Green Dragon 5, and the Hangman. So the Red Phoenix 6 is 6 of Cups, and this phoenix is hovering over this pond with lotus and the 2 little fish in the pond, and the Green Dragon 5. This is a really interesting 5 of Pentacles. It's behind this wall. And it's kind of like dry land here, and then it's that beautiful garden in the background. It's kind of Chinese garden, watercolor drawing. And the Hangman. So in this card, I feel like the dragon is kind of tucking its head down behind this cement wall. It's like it's sort of consciously refusing to look up at this beautiful garden in the background. It's like it's afraid to look up. It's not looking up at it, but all it needs to do is just stretch up and just put its neck out and see this beautiful garden. And so with this, I feel like, you know, I'm kind of holding on, I'm resisting, I'm not letting go of just this freedom of considering what's beyond. And I might be stuck in the past, where the Red Phoenix 6, this phoenix is hovering over, looking at this beautiful pond. Just kind of, it reminds me of the 6 of Cups, the feeling of something that we're thinking about in the past. And I know that this past few weeks, I've been kind of really, I don't know, somehow stuck in the pattern of reviewing the past in my head over and over, just kind of repeating some old patterns in my head. And also part of this is, I think, as I reflect on it, due to the fact that my boyfriend is actually moving, he's actually coming to see me this weekend coming up, and I'm nervous about that because we haven't actually met before. I haven't talked about this on my channel yet. I wasn't even planning on discussing it right now, but I am because I'm getting a little more personal in this video. So we met online, and it's been really amazing and wonderful, and he's an amazing, the kindest, sweetest soul I've ever known. And he is, he doesn't live where I live. I'm living in Canada, so he lives in the US, and he's coming to visit me this weekend for the first time. So I've been kind of nervous about that because I moved into this new place, and I've just been struggling a little bit with body issues, just with anxiety, and also the anxiety of what's going to happen when he's here, you know. So that's kind of been part of that whole anxiety issue that I've been facing. And then this issue of looking at the past, I know that I have some patterns of holding on to things that happened in the past, or things that have happened, and just accepting the past and moving on. And so that card kind of reiterated that for me, that I am holding on to some things that happened in the past, and but you know, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not, you know, a good or a bad thing. It's reflection. So there's the pond here, and it's like the phoenix is hovering over this pond, and the water symbolizes reflection. So that looking in the past is also a place where we can reflect and come up with insights, and also get to know parts of ourselves, look at our own shadows, think about what is going on with us, and you know what, because I don't think things just happen for no reason. I think if the mind is worrying, stressing, obsessing, obsession comes to mind with this card, obsessing over something, and there is a reason for it. You know, there's something that needs to be unblocked. There's something that's unconscious that needs to come to the surface, and I felt like that is what this card is telling me. And then this, coming back to this card, it's like there's this beautiful garden. So it's like when we work with shadow stuff, we know that there's gold to be found where the shadow is. Once we do bring the shadow to consciousness, to the conscious surface, then there's treasures deep in that darkness that we can discover. And I feel like that garden is like this beautiful treasure that's hidden behind the cement wall, but the dragon has the choice or the ability to uncover that, to just come up and take a peek at the garden, you know, just even for a few seconds. So again, the idea of persistence, not giving up, and looking at all the signs and seeing what they're telling me. And then the Hangman is, to me, the Hangman is a highly spiritual card. I associate it to this energy of Neptune in astrology, and this card isn't connected to Neptune, and that feeling of like just disillusion, that merging, coming into one with everything, letting go. And that's kind of what the question in this case was: what behaviors and patterns am I holding on to which no longer serve me, that I need to let go of? I feel like here I need to let go and accept. Let go of the past, but also come to a place where I can accept it. And that's not easy to do, and it's, again, persistence. And what I noticed here again is a little pond and the two fish, and the two fish are here as well. So I feel like these two cards are connected. So the letting go and the reflection. And by the way, the two fish reminded me of the symbol of Pisces, and I thought, how appropriate is that? I don't know if that was intended. I don't think it is, but maybe. This is Neptune, and Neptune rules Pisces, very spiritual sign, highly imaginative, and I feel like using the imagination, using dreams, like I had this dream, the spread that came to me. I don't really, unfortunately, remember the spread in my dream, but it was enough to just inspire me. It was like a message for me to use the cards in this case, because I've never used tarot for this particular issue, for issues of health anxiety, which I'm challenged by regularly. Okay, so the last question is so what does my mind need to know in order to feel safe and allow my body to relax? So here I brought my body in there in connection to my mind, and I drew Red Phoenix 10, Temperance. I love this Temperance, so beautiful. She's pouring tea from one cup to another. Huh. White Tiger 2, so that's the suit of air. White Tiger 2, Two of Swords, 10 of Cups, and Temperance. So in the middle, Temperance to me is, of course, this balance, but it's also patience. The word patience came to me when I first saw this this question, the 3 cards for this question. Patience, keeping my balance, my sense of balance, and then White Tiger 2 again brought me back to that idea of choice. And the sun here is repeated as well in the Fool. That bright sun, this one here. And I actually had a dream about this card after I drew these 3 cards. I dreamt about this card, and to me, that sun in the dream, it was telling me that it's about focusing on the important stuff, like focusing on what is important to me. And here, the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is always it's a tricky one, because for me, it's never really that clear. It always depends on the reading. And in this case, I thought that with this journey, you know, my mind focusing, persistence, this conscious choice and effort to come back to the breath, come back to the no mind, and to keep working at the challenges, not giving up, acknowledging. This journey it leads somewhere beautiful, somewhere harmonious. So the phoenix is on top of the tree, looking up, like very proud, very beautiful. And then patience is key here. It's right sort of in the center. It's like holding it all together. And then White Tiger 2, I love what it said in the guidebook, the little white book, about this card, and how there is a need to pay attention to the higher self, to spirit, to listen to oneself, to one's higher self. I thought that was really beautiful for the element of air, and making that conscious choice to listen, coming back to the no mind, to that peaceful place. And then it's interesting that there's the element of air opposite from the emotional cups, the water. So I feel like there is this sense of balance with the 2 of Swords of the emotion and the intellect. Not getting too overly emotional, because 10 of Cups can be. I'm not reading, by the way, any reversals here. With this deck particularly, I wasn't comfortable with that, and also with this reading, and then just due to the nature of these questions, I felt like I can see both aspects, both the higher and the lower octave of each card, depending on what I'm guided to feel. So in this case, with the 10 of Cups, Red Phoenix 10, I'm seeing as well that there could be a tendency maybe to be overly emotional, so being able to kind of separate the emotions from the mind. That makes sense to me. So that was my spread, my health anxiety spread, and it was really reflective. It was helpful for me to think about the cards, and I'm still thinking about them and kind of arriving to different insights, and I really enjoyed it. I wanted to share it with you, and just as a way of connecting with you all again, and to kind of let you know what's on my mind lately and what's been happening, and share some things with you. So let me know if you enjoyed this spread and what you think about the Feng Shui Tarot. I can't wait to get the guidebook soon, which I will share with you. I have a feeling it's going to be amazing, because I've heard really great things about it, and I've read some really good reviews. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. As always, I'm sending you lots of love and many, many blessings. See you in the next video. Bye, everyone.